see the start of the movie when it's like, oh, triple X, and then you think, oh, it must be him.
Must be a guy.
And then she looks over and the camera moves in, and it's like the 70s audience is going, a woman?
A woman spy? Not in my country.
Yeah, it's like, why does that need to be doubled down so much?
Welcome to the For Your Ears Only podcast. I'm Jack and this is Derek. Today's episode is a special episode. It's 0010 and we're talking about an all-time favourite, The Spy Who Loved Me from 1977, directed by Lewis Gilbert. So, Derek, tell me about The Spy Who Loved Me.
Tell you about it?
Yeah. How was your...
Well, nobody does it better. No, we're not going to start off with that.
How was your... do you remember this? From being younger?
Is it from yesterday when I watched?
Watching it yesterday?
No. Yeah, this is actually probably one of my favourite Bond films. I think for a lot of people it's the same. We've discussed in previous episodes about tropes, and I think this is chock full of tropes. There's many iconic parts of it. I think the story's a bit weird, but yeah, it's a very family friendly movie, even though it's quite violent and almost horror movie like.
It can be quite scary.
Yeah,
certain
especially like
characters.
Jaws and stuff. Yeah, it's quite scary. But yeah, I think like this. If someone said name a James Bond movie, a lot of people would say The Spy Who Loved Me.
If this was a pointless question,
Spy's in the title. Yeah, it's in there. It's also famous as well for the song, which I have my opinions about. But
oh dear.
but yeah, it's very famous for that. The song again stands in its own merit, but people associate the song with that, which says The Spy Who Loved Me in it as well. That's it. It was a film I enjoyed as a child. I enjoy it now. And I
never really, I must admit, it wasn't one that I would go back to. It still isn't one that I go back to.
Controversial.
I only go back to it when I have to go back to it. Not because I don't like it, but just because it's Roger Moore.
Why do you hate Roger Moore?
There's other better films, I think.
Why do you hate Roger Moore?
I don't hate Roger. I'm having a crisis of faith here. I quite like...
This is a faith?
I quite like Roger Moore now that we're watching them now, but back maybe 5-10 years when I was younger, I had no real interest in Roger Moore. And that really starts with 80s Roger Moore, but right now is pretty good.
But there is something that Roger Moore brings to films that no other Bond did.
What is that?
Sorry for deafening people there, but yeah.
He brings the funk.
Funk. A new James Bond sound. I suppose that wasn't Roger. And we'll get on to the way the sound's made.
The sound of this film.
That straight away. It's like, you want to dance.
It dates the film, but also...
It 100% dates the film, but it's still good.
Yeah, it makes it stand out more than negatively dates it.
Okay.
Right, so we have a recurring segment where one of us will have to give the synopsis of the film in 2 minutes. And this week, it's Derek's turn.
Oh, no.
Now, I would personally say that's quite hard because there's quite a lot that happens in this film. The rules are you can't say James Bond stuff happens or spy stuff happens. You have to thoroughly detail the plot.
Thoroughly detail the plot?
Thoroughly.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Let me just try and remember where the film actually started. Yes, I remember it now.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the movie opens with a submarine. Something's malfunctioning. They don't know what's going on. The submarine's raised, and it turns out the submarine is eaten by another tanker. In the same opening sequence, James Bond is... Actually, the Russians lose a submarine, and the Russians are told that they need to send someone over to investigate this missing submarine. The British also lose a submarine as well, so they do the same. James Bond is in the Alps. These people are trying to kill him. He skates away, jumps off, and the parachute opens, opening title sequence. Not a different song. And then the film goes on to the point where James Bond is called back into his naval position to investigate this missing submarine. They don't know how the submarine was tracked. They don't know how it's moved. James Bond then goes to Cairo to meet a particular associate who is involved in tracking in some kind of way. How long is left?
1 minute.
1 minute, because we're only 20 minutes into the film. Then, through association, the Russians have also sent someone to find this person. The villain, who's then revealed as Stromberg, has also sent assassins to kill the person who's made this microfilm. The British and the Russian agents, I don't know, are competing to get this microfilm off Jaws, who's running away with it. At that point, the Russians get it. The British and the Russians are cooperating. They realise that this Stromberg is the person behind the attacks itself and stealing it. They investigate Stromberg. Stromberg tries to kill them both at some point. Then the car goes underwater and it's a submarine. Wow, amazing. How long is left?
40, you've got 20 seconds.
At that point, the British and the Russians then realise that Stromberg has a HQ and is eating these other submarines. They find the location of the submarine, go to destroy it. They destroy the submarine, go to Stromberg, and then kill him. And then they get away.
Excellent.
A lot was missed off at points, but
submarine. Out of the way.
The car goes into the water. It means nothing for the plot, but that is, yeah. They go to Egypt for the microfilm.
I got that in 1:59.
1:59. Okay,
I'll give you it.
That's quite good. You give me it.
I'll give it to you.
It's not going to get old, is it?
No.
No.
It's going to get old real fast.
people are turning off.
Yeah.
Can't listen to that anymore. If anyone wants to know that song, it's called Bond 77, and you can go and listen to your heart's content. It even has the bit where it goes, meow.
Yes.
Would you believe us here?
Actually became... It became a big dance hit.
I can imagine so. It's good.
Is it good because it's good, or is it good because it's not good?
No, it's good. It's corny is probably the best description of it. But it's still, it stays in your head.
I wonder if it was corny at the time, or they thought, oh, this is actually seriously a good song.
Whoa, this is like back then, whoa, this is like Hans Zimmer's Cornfield Chase.
Exactly. This is major.
So yeah, that was the 2 minutes of the movie. I know I missed out names and such, but I feel as though that was the parameters of where
if people can kind of follow your thought process on that, I think so.
I did spend too much time on the opening scene. They did jump around quite a lot of the time. Oh, we're in Egypt. Why did they need to go to Egypt to find one guy a microfilm? I didn't really understand. I didn't really understand why they needed the microfilm. Because this is get the plans for the submarine. Is it? Well, someone clearly has them already.
No, it's the
tracking.
The plans for the tracker, the submarine tracker.
Right.
Nobody else has it except Stromberg.
Right.
So they're going to buy it off this guy in Egypt.
Right. They couldn't just change the way the submarines
work.
Navigate. No.
But it's through their wake. You can't really change a submarine's wake.
I don't know. I don't know enough about submarines. Surely that's just a design flaw then. It's like, right, we'll change that.
But how do you change the shape of a submarine?
The shape of a submarine?
Because it's the wake of the submarine. Is that not the water breaking through?
Yeah.
Well, how do you stop that? You can't.
Physics. Some other piece of genius. Submarine sandwich. And we're not getting on to that. Yes. So, after we do the 2 minutes, as always, we go into the history. Now, I don't really have any history for how this movie was influenced, because my understanding of this movie is it was so chopped and changed that no history actually made any direct influence. Like the book, The Spy Who Loved Me, as you've read it, is nothing like this movie.
No, I think you're right. Nothing in real world terms influences this.
And they couldn't actually make a screenplay of the book due to the rights of the Fleming
Now,
estate. They
all
weren't
I
allowed to
know
do that.
about it is that Ian Fleming only gave them the rights to the name
Yes. They couldn't make
because he didn't like the film. That he didn't like the plot, I guess, of his own book. I don't know.
Yeah.
The plot was, I thought it was a really good short story, but it has hardly anything to do with James Bond.
I think it was so like action packed, this movie. It was almost like kind of like the stabilizers, the bike were off, and it's like, right, go and do your own thing. You're completely unrestricted. Go write it. Like, one of the people who were actually involved in doing the screenplay was the guy who wrote A Clockwork Orange. I don't know if he had an influence over what the final thing was, but he was definitely involved in how it was going to be put together. But
Is that Anthony Burgess?
yes, but in terms of the history, the only thing I had near the time was that big man Howard Hughes died the year before.
Oh, that is
As we discussed on The Diamonds Are Forever. Howard Hughes.
Yeah, no, I don't really have anything that big things. Elvis also died that year in 1977.
They're all dying.
The only thing that I have that doesn't really influence this film, but influences what happens next, was that Star Wars was released in 1977.
And then we have...
And as we
next
know,
episode's
a
gonna
sort of
be,
normal, a sort of well-known fact is that at the end of this film, it says James Bond will return in For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah.
And that gets scrapped because they see how much money George Lucas is making,
Yeah.
so they make Moonraker instead.
Was it you that told me about the fact about, just to go off topic, about George Lucas and the remastered?
Yeah, they're like a separate entity so that his ex-wife doesn't get any of the
Tell the
cut
audience.
of the royalties. That's the story. He got it remade basically and remastered, rebranded, recopyrighted.
You do see all the actual scenes themselves, like they are different scenes. They've added quite a lot to
Quite
them.
a lot of CGI in the background and stuff.
That nothing in the original movies is the same as the new ones.
Yeah,
just literally, just to be so vindictive. Nothing, you get nothing.
I can't remember why his wife had some like stake in the films, so he basically cut her out by redoing the film so much so that they get classed as new separate films.
Yeah.
Well, he's a billionaire now.
God, George has good lawyers.
So
in terms of the movie being made, it was the fact they couldn't use the book. They actually had Guy Hamilton on to direct this movie at first, and they had a team of writers, and they really, really struggled.
Guy Hamilton, who
did the previous movie,
the last two films.
Yeah, so they had him on and a team of writers, and he was fully involved in this, ready to go ahead with it, but they struggled to put a story together. Then everyone's favourite Kevin McCrory.
Oh, the real Bond villain.
Yeah, he came again. He took them to court for plagiarism of this screenplay.
Okay.
And after it was essentially just a big pain in the arse, they eventually went with Lewis Gilbert because he'd done You Only Live Twice before. And you can see that in the movies because it's like, oh, you want a layer?
Well,
I'll give you a layer.
We'll talk about how it's basically the same film later on. But I found a couple of cool things about the script. You're saying they went through so many different drafts and script writers, and I found a couple of the plots that were going to be in some of these scripts. So one of the drafts of this film had Tatiana Romanoff from Russia with Love. She was returning to help James Bond
Same
fight.
actress?
I don't know, it'd be like 10 years later, more than 10 years. She was going to return and help James Bond fight Spectre at Loch Ness. Which would have been quite funny.
But they can't use Spectre.
But they can't use Spectre because of Kevin.
And they can't use Loch Ness because the monster was still alive at that time.
Was there. There was also one, which I thought this was pretty funny. There was one draft where it was James Bond had to foil a plot to assassinate the Queen, where terrorists were going to blow up the Sydney Opera House with her in it. Was one of those drafts.
That's far-fetched, isn't it? And then it's like Johnny English.
Basically. And another draft was about separate terrorist agencies all over the world coming together to fight Spectre and overthrow Spectre, which I thought would have been interesting
That would
as
be
well.
quite interesting. But then it's not very James Bondy, is it?
Yeah, where does
It's
he
not.
fit into
James
that?
Bond isn't the hero. Then he's just. Who would he fight? Everybody.
Well, the plot was all these terrorist groups get together, overthrow Blofeld and Spectre, and then try and take over the world, and James Bond has to jump in and stop them.
But then defeat everyone at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a lot of good ideas there like that. I think, again, was this maybe the first film that they did have a bit of free reign?
Yeah, because they weren't really tied to the book at all.
I know The Man with the Golden Gun was, again, that was his own story, but they used the name Scaramanga in the plot roughly. But they changed quite a lot. It was a completely new thing. And you can kind of see that, like, they had complete control, went a bit over the top in every scene, but that's what was quite good about that. So now that we kind of looked over the way the movie was done.
Do you know why it took 3 years?
Took 3 years?
Because The Man with the Golden Gun was 74 and this is 77.
Court
battles with this Kevin McCrory slowed down the process. And also, I think we touched on this the last time, it was this is the first film without Harry Saltzman, the producer.
Yes, because he lost his shares.
Yeah, so he was financing other film projects on his own, and they came in as
hotels as well,
and hotels and that kind of thing. And he kept losing, so he lost all his money basically. And so he was trying to do different things. He even tried a hostile takeover of the Technicolor, the company, film company. And he didn't have any money to fight the battle, and Albert Broccoli refused to give him the funds from Eon or from the Bond stuff, so he ended up having to sell his shares and all that kind of stuff, and that took months.
It's like the Swiss bank or something he was in so much debt with.
Yeah, so another thing was that they had a deal with whoever the distributor was, that they had to bring out a James Bond novel or script every 18 months, and so obviously, or they'd lose the rights to distribute the film, and they'd have to find another distributor.
That's an unnecessary stress. Why would they agree to that?
So that, coupled with Kevin McCrory taking them to court and Saltzman leaving, and there were so many. They must have obviously made it in the end.
Yeah, because Kevin Broccoli was just on his own doing everything, and I think Kevin McCrory, he lost the case, the plagiarism case with that. Ian eventually won, but yeah, Kevin Broccoli was on his own doing it for the first time.
And it's also the first time that new producer, the new guy, what's his name? Michael G. Wilson.
Yeah, who's in everything now.
Who has a cameo in all the films now. He was brought on for the first time because he's actually Broccoli's stepson.
Was he? Because I know he was a hand in the actual writing side of it and so what they wanted. Yeah,
because I seen when the credits rolled, I spotted his name immediately. I was like, oh, it must be the same guy, and he's just been
took over the mantle,
literally risen the ranks since.
Yeah,
and I would also say this is the first film where watching the credits roll that I've been like, spotting things. He's done it before. He's also been in this franchise, and just a lot of returning characters or cast members behind the scenes, like Roger, Ken Abbott,
who you hate.
Yeah,
who's Ken Abbott, the designer?
Is the set designer?
Yeah,
all these people come back, or people who are going to be in it.
Yeah, but return at points.
Yeah,
it was an interesting film to put together. The story behind the film and how it was made. Like there was a story of that no one could stomach the food in Egypt. For that, so there was a problem. So then Cubby Broccoli was like, right, I'm going to just make everyone spaghetti. And he went over to Egypt and he said to people, I need you to buy all the spaghetti you can find. Go to Cairo and such, buy everything. And they just brought it and he just made everyone on set. There was this massive pot and he just made everyone. And then he's on that restaurant, his name is still there.
Oh, really?
That's just cool. Because of that weird nod to go through. So that was him on his own. And I think everyone at that point said, right, obviously, everyone knew how much he cared for the crew and such, but then to come and do this because he sent food over from England and the container arrived and it was empty.
Oh,
And everyone was like, right, well,
How did
can't
that
eat this food. Rats.
tonight you're having nothing.
How would you like a plate of nothing? So yeah, an interesting movie in terms of made, and I think it does show in terms of the creativity with that. It's not from a written source. It's just a lot of people putting together and saying, "Why don't we do this? Yes, why don't we do this as well?
Yeah,
yes." Then the
this.
car lands and the car turns into a submarine. If you were a writer, you'd be like, "No one's going to believe this." Then if you're just making a movie, you're going, why not do that?
It sounds. We'll go on to how it's very similar to You Only Live Twice. Then
Yes.
I don't know if that
racist.
is that Lewis Gilbert's
Yes.
influence, that basically he recreates a big massive base. He recreates a big fight. Instead of astronauts fighting Spectre, it's now submarine crews fighting another submarine crew inside a big lair.
Yes.
I
I think that's his thing.
That kinda
That's
thing.
his shtick.
the big ending.
Yes. I think he wants big visuals.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does work. It's the things you do remember with that. It's like the layer.
Yeah.
Even the layer coming out the water.
Mhm.
Such, and that was based on an actual Japanese lab that did exist.
Okay.
And it was underwater, submerged, and it could
Right,
come up. So
okay.
they based it off that. It didn't look the same.
Because I had a query about that the base, which is called Atlantis, is based in Sardinia, or just off the coast of Sardinia, which is in the Mediterranean, right? So the Mediterranean is 5,000 meters deep. How can it submerge and then come out? How can it grow 5,000 meters?
I don't think that's the main question for this movie.
I had that question because the tallest man-made structure in the world right now is the Burj Khalifa, and that is 829 meters, and his base is supposed to be more than 5,000 meters. I think not.
Jack, a Lotus turns into a submarine. A Lotus barely drives.
I think not.
Anyway, why don't we go on to question one? So the questions, I've not actually written any questions down, but we do have some ideas for it, so I'm going to take some of the ideas from yourself. But we're going to start with a quite easy one. So question number one. What is the drink of choice for Agent Triple X?
I've never tried that drink.
It sounds...
It doesn't
It just sounds
pleasant.
pretty strong. So yeah, we've been over in terms of the way the movie was made. One of the things I really liked, just to go back to the way the movie was made, was the stunt of the ski jump.
Okay, the sort of iconic
Yeah,
intro.
they didn't know they were going to do that, and they were very close to pulling the plug of doing it because they thought, oh, this will be good to do it. But then they were like, no, this guy's actually going to be killed. And there's a stunt guy, Rick Sylvester. What a name.
That is a good name. That's a
Days.
real
He
actor's
was
name.
born a stuntman. Rick Sylvester. He was the guy who was chosen to do it. I think he did stuff like that already, but not off this height.
Okay.
I think they were talking about like the El Capitan in America, but then they used some other point, and it was delayed, and they never heard any success about it being done. And the producers were like, God, he's dead. Like,
something
he must have been killed. And Cully Rockley phoned up the base and said, listen, if you're hesitant with it, we don't want people dying on this. We'll think of something else. It's okay. And he went, no, I'm just waiting for the wind to die down. And then that day, they went and did it. And that's why I did it in one take.
It's quite a long take. It's good.
Yeah, and they sent it through. And he's like, oh yeah, just one take and that's all we needed. And I was like, I should think so.
I'm not doing that again.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn the camera on. Can you do that again? So yeah, that was good. And again, a very iconic moment.
And that is one of my Bond moments. The opening
I always think when I was watching it again, it'd be quite funny. They mentioned as well, they weren't sure, like at that time, it was quite divisive of what people in the cinema would think with like a big Union Jack coming up. Because like at the time, people were very divided in terms of like there was not really much like patriotism. And I was like in a cinema in Glasgow, like when the Union Jack appears, just old men going, "We are the people."
Oh yeah, definitely. Half the cinema standing up.
Just walking out. Yeah, I like that bit, and I like the way it was put together. And something you mentioned as well with regards to the submarine base, that was filmed in London, and that then was actually coined as the 007 stage.
Yes, the submarine
Yes,
the layer
the
bit.
fight sequence.
It's inside the ship,
Yes.
the tanker. Yeah, so they had to actually purpose build that at Pinewood, and that still works today as the 007 stage.
Yeah.
Which was quite good because there was nowhere big enough to hold it.
Yeah. Because I think they said as well when they built it and the set designer put it together, they said, "Oh, what do you think about the light and the dark levels?" And he was like, "I can't see the end anyway, so does it matter? Like, it's so long."
Yeah. Did you know about the famous help they got for lighting that stage? So, for some reason, the guy who was doing the set lighting for that particular set was going blind, or he was losing his vision.
That's not good.
And he couldn't quite get it right, so they enlisted the help of Stanley Kubrick to light that scene, which I thought was pretty cool. That's a cool fact.
What did he charge?
Oh, all the
$7
money.
million.
All the money.
That's cool. I like that wee thing.
Why would you hire a guy who can't see to be the lighting guy?
Maybe he was just good at it, and then he was just losing
He
his
suddenly
sight.
wasn't.
Yeah, until he wasn't. That was. I suppose that's like years of possible like looking at a lens, like a
bright
floodlight
lights.
coming through. So yeah, I can.
You mentioned the iconic start parachute scene, so I liked everybody talks about the fact that the royal premiere, that everybody was standing up cheering when the Union flag gets.
Oh, were they?
out.
Alright.
So Prince Charles was apparently standing up, screaming and shouting about how much he liked it.
Like, check, sit down.
Like 50 years later. But would you like to know whose original idea that was to
The
do
Union
that?
Jack.
To do the ski off the mountain and have the Union flag. It was originally for on Her Majesty's Secret Service, and it was
That makes
actually
sense.
an idea by Lazenby. George Lazenby wanted to do it for that film,
But not actually him. Get the stuntman to do it. I'm not dying.
but for one reason or the other, it never happened, and it was quite good that they've obviously retained that. As maybe
Yeah.
in the future we'll do that.
It was quite appropriate. Was it appropriate? No. It was appropriate. It's a good opening sequence.
It's good for a film. In
yes.
real life, probably not good.
Yeah, it's not the best thing for a clandestine operative who's been shot at to then go,
I'm from the UK.
"Here's where I'm from." Nil point.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah, but I think with this movie, I don't know, it says spy in the title.
Mm-hmm.
There was no spying. There was one bit of spying really where they both pretended to be other people to get into Stromberg's lair. However, it turns out that Stromberg knows exactly who they are already, and then tries to kill them on land afterwards. So it didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Kind of plot holes there, but there was a lot of spying. We credited the Sean Connery films for him snooping around quite a lot, and he does. Roger Moore does go from place to place. He goes to Cairo. He goes on the trail. He goes on.
Yeah, this was
does
his
a lot of
first
that kind of
movie of actually being like a naval commander. Because Sean Connery did it in. Actually, ironically, You Only Live Twice.
This is what I'm saying.
This is Lewis. This is the same thing.
There's so many
where
things.
he's brought in as a naval commander and an expert on this, and he served on a submarine at some point or another, and that's where it kind of makes sense. But I think since we're talking about the parachute scene, I think it's quite good to talk about the Bond moments. I have three.
Okay.
They're almost tied together. So there's a parachute scene first of all, because that is iconic.
That is iconic. It will always be
and
iconic.
I think just genuinely, not even the parachute side, it's just the fact that you just skied off a cliff and the guy's chasing must be like, what?
Okay, he's gone. He's done for.
It's like this old Tom Cruise stunt in the latest Mission Impossible. Oh, he tried to buy. He went off the cliff and then he got a parachute, and it's like
Roger did that.
Like Rick Sylvester did that years ago. So that is one thing. The other thing, the underwater car, because
Okay, yes.
it's. Do you know they used 7 cars for that? The actual, I don't know if it'd be a prop master or stunt driver, but he said I need 7 Lotus shells to make. So
Some for on land, some for the actual submarine bit.
some for just an actual car that was driving.
Uh-huh.
One on the pier that was just a hollow car that had an air cannon.
Oh, the one that actually
that get
goes
fired
into the
off.
water.
We've got one that's going into the water to be submerged, and then there's one car where the wheels fold in.
Mm-hmm.
Another car where the plastic bits come out,
Okay.
and then another car for when the fins come out. So it wasn't all just one car because
right, that's
it's not
weird,
it's not physically possible to do that.
I would have thought it was just all
Yeah,
one
no, they had a
model.
lot of different cars for it, and then they had one that was inside completely black, and it just had scuba divers. He said,
right,
he said that
pedal in it.
he said there was none of the cars were like waterproof. So as soon as it went in the water, they're just filled with water. So when it's in the water being guided around, there is like 4 people in that steering it and moving it around for there, which it still looks good. I think that's why they put the black over the screen,
Yeah, like the sort of
like the
tinted
shutters.
windows.
Yeah, just to say, oh no, they're in there. Just don't look too closely.
Just believe
There's
it.
4 guys. So yeah, that's an iconic scene and something that everyone remembers.
Yeah.
Just the car turning.
I know that they actually used the chairman of Lotus. It was his actual white Esprit that they used for the on-land scenes.
Did they request that, or did he say, no, you need to use mine?
He must have been like, here, take mine.
Use mine.
Oh, we're going to drive off a cliff.
It's like, where's my car? Just bubbles coming out. Sorry, me mistook for one of the
Wrong
stunt
car.
cars. And with the underwater car scene, another bit which I just found really funny, and I still laugh at, is
Oh, no.
see when it comes out the water,
Yeah.
it's almost like Jaws. I don't know what year Jaws came out, but it's almost like that when everyone on the beach is looking.
Yes, I thought that
And
as well.
It comes out. There's the guy who's drinking.
Uh-huh.
I think who's actually just a member of the crew. I think I don't know his actual role, but he's in 2 other films after that.
Yeah, it's
Because-
a running joke.
Yeah, they put it as like an in joke. He was there, and then everyone's running away from this car coming out. And just when it comes
Like
out,
a
and it's the
shark.
bim, 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 and it's the fish guy going to just. It's so camp when he just looks at the guy and goes. That is
No.
hilarious. That is funny. I
It's,
don't know why it's there.
it is
Like,
funny, but how physically that's not what's how did that fish get inside?
how did it get inside? But that again, that's bottom of the wrong equations, Jack. It's like, how did the car get out? So yeah, that was another stunt car where they had to be in there, and that didn't drive, of course.
Uh-huh.
That was just on like essentially a rope, and the rope was pulling it out just to winch it out there. So that was the 3 big Bond moments I thought in this movie that will always stand the test of time.
Yeah, the
it's like
fish.
that will never change. The fish is just a funny gag.
It is a gag, but it's good.
The underwater car and the jumping off or skiing off the cliff with the parachute. What Bond moments did you have?
Who owns the Lotus Esprit now?
Is it the skeleton of the chairman of Lotus?
No, somebody.
Who owns the actual car?
Yeah, the actual car from the film.
I don't know. What?
Elon Musk. He bought
Why?
it in 2013 at an auction for £616,000.
That's not as expensive as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I know. He could have paid a lot more.
Does he actually drive it? Probably
No,
not.
I think it's like in a.
Yeah, it takes a lot for an owner of a car company to buy another vintage car and then maybe drive it around, or maybe not.
But do you not think that it looks an awful lot like the Cybertank? If you put a picture of the Cybertank
Kinda.
and the
I
Lotus.
suppose that they both have sharp angles.
Yeah, they both have that.
I think they would have
visor.
more issues from actual Lotus if he made it after a Lotus car, because Lotus still do cars, and I think
Yeah,
they still do
I think.
runs of the classic cars,
They
and they
should
still
remake it.
don't work.
Yeah. Well,
So that
what did I
was-
have? I
yeah.
had when he rides the bomb at the end. I think that's a classic moment.
It's like, do you ever remember when you were young and you were in that like a soft play area, and it was the big rubber balls attached to a rope and you used to swing? It reminded me of that.
Yes.
But it's so slow moving, but it's still going.
The music's going faster than the action. Yeah, I thought that was quite cool. I always remember that, and especially because it stops, or he stops and he can't get away till like the last second.
Yeah,
That was good.
it's just to get through a door. It's not even to like save the day. It's just-
So many
and then
people
the
die.
bomb side, we can't let the magnet touch the side or it'll go off. And it's like, right, is there someone else here who's qualified to do this? No, just this guy. Okay then.
Just me. I like James Bond's shaky hands when he's trying not. He hasn't had a martini in a while.
He's getting withdrawal coming through. I think with the Bond moments there kind of goes into the gadget side of things. So obviously the gadget in this movie is the car, the submarine car that not only was a submarine that you could ask for anything else, but also had the oil spray. It had missiles.
A missile out the roof.
It was like a surface to air missile that came out essentially the boot.
Yeah.
You had an underwater mine. I don't think I'd want to drive a car that held explosives at all. Never mind
Especially if it was a Lotus.
Just the exhaust pods
and then the whole car explodes.
It's like underwater mines. So is it not limpet mines? Just underwater mines. There was also like front projectiles. I don't know if they were missiles or they were harpoons. I don't know what Q thought was going to happen. Like, why would you build all this in the car? But then there's the other things like the fax watch at the start, where it sends us like ticker tape thing of top secret messages, which are now there for everyone to read.
They don't self-destruct.
No. And something I quite like was the cigarette.
Sekio watch, big advert for them, isn't it?
Oh, Stromberg has Sony screens all over his thing.
Yeah,
and I was like, did
that.
Sony ask for this? Or is this like Sony's the evil corporation?
Evil.
Sony will survive the flood. But then in terms of gadgets, I can't think of many other films we've looked at already where the villain has gadgets other than like From Russia with Love. The Russians. Let's just say all Russians have gadgets. So you get Rosa Klebb with the knife shoe. Red Grant with the watch.
Yep.
Wire. And
also
cigarette tranquilizer.
The Spectre agent from Thunderball who has rockets on her motorbike.
Oh yes, Fiona Volpe.
Fiona Volpe. And she then ditches it into a lake.
Yes, that's a very expensive thing. But the cigarette tranquilizer, that always stuck with me when I was young for some reason. After I watched this film and everyone took like a cigarette, I was always like,
don't poison me.
I always thought that was quite
That was a good one though. I quite enjoyed that one. That and Stromberg's the guy on the motorbike and the whole like sidecar shoots off as a rocket.
Why? It's the least accurate thing in the world.
You don't know where that's going at all.
I think that's maybe a good point to then go into Jaws. In fact, no, before Jaws, we've got the Q's office in Egypt. I don't know why they've like, we're going to make a base in Egypt, but Q, bring all your stuff and build things. So there was like the knife and
that stuff. And then at the same time, they're just parading the KGB around saying, look at all of our stuff.
Look at all this stuff we're building.
The big head of KGB's watching the whole of Q Branch.
Yes. See the tray? The floating tray? That's real.
Oh, right.
That's an actual thing. It was they conducted I don't know if it works as effective as that, but they did consult a physicist who specialised in magnets, and that was an actual thing that floated. I think he was looking at they're looking at magnets for railways, such to reduce friction. It was something like that, and they thought, why not? Why don't we do this? So, yeah, that was real. But yeah, in terms of the gadgets, it's not really a gadget, but you've got like Jaws' teeth, and he's just a horror villain in my eyes.
He is quite scary, especially if you're a kid watching it like in the cinema. That would be pretty scary, especially
I didn't like it. No.
His bit when he's revealed at the pyramids by the big lights. Yeah, twice.
Yes.
That bit was quite scary.
He's a big man. I think Richard Keel hated wearing the teeth. He could actually only wear them for 30 seconds each time, and then he had to take them out because he would like heave. Because it was having just like a dentist mold in all the time. He said it was really, really sickening. So in the scenes where he used Jaws, there's actually not a lot of him over and over again, and then you'll see a lot of them, and it's behind and he doesn't have the teeth in. But yeah, I thought it was quite good.
Scary.
He's iconic. It's very much like Oddjob.
Is he more iconic than Oddjob?
Yes.
I would say so.
100%. He is, in my eyes, even thinking forward to the other movies, I can't think of another henchman who's more. If anything, he was more effective than Stromberg. People remember Jaws more than Stromberg. Sometimes with Oddjob, people associate Oddjob with I was a Goldfinger. They're kind of one and the same. But Jaws obviously was so popular. He then comes back. They didn't kill him off. But I quite liked that. I thought that was very unique. Something that I found interesting as well when we were talking about Glass before we did this episode. The stuntman who was going to do the stunts for Richard Kiel, he was 5'7", and I'm like, this isn't going to work. Like, you're clearly toty. And he said, no, I'll make it work. So there's the scenes where Richard Kiel's like holding Roger and they're kind of wrestling, grappling each other. But then the scene where he has to go through the window when he gets kicked out, and someone said, no, I'll do that. So he just went, that's fine, I'll just do it. I'll just put the jacket on and we'll just throw myself at it and it'll look fine. And you don't notice it's a small guy. That was plate glass. It wasn't like fake glass. No, he just went, I'll just go for it.
What, like...
So he literally ran at this window, heated the window and jumped out. And he was like cut and bleeding. He was like, I was quite good with it. And we're like, you're right. He's like, that's fine.
Are you actually a stuntman?
But I showed plate glass, and yeah, that was it. But yeah, I think Jaws is actually a kind of a Bond moment, kind of a really iconic character. He
does stand the test of time. He has his own Funko Pop.
He's on what?
The little toy things.
Oh, yeah. I thought he said funk.
Funko Pop.
Oh no, the speaker's turned off.
Just as well.
Maybe just for the best.
The only thing that annoys me about, maybe two things about Jaws, I'm feeling very negative today. One thing, he's very slow. Like, see, when he goes in for the kill, and he's like a vampire.
Yes, it's very vampiric. Every kill
cuts their neck, and it's like 5 minutes has gone by before he actually gets to the neck. The guy could obviously have escaped if he wanted to. Both guys that he kills that way could have escaped.
I think it's about the train where he's holding James Bond's wrist. James Bond's holding him back, and then he goes to reach the lamp, and now there is nothing holding him back, yet he's still going.
Yeah, slowly.
Like, I suppose that's a kind of
that bit
plot thing.
And the fact that at the end when they meet and James Bond shoots him and it hits off his teeth.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's not.
It could happen. So does hell. Hits off his teeth and then he puts, and there's no rounds. I'm like, well, you just shot Stromberg like 6 times for no reason.
I know,
shot him at different angles of the room.
Quite cold kill there.
We've got Stromberg grabbing the side.
His slow death. maybe that's a bit too long.
It just kind of brings us onto the lines, because there's a few, but this film is good for lines. I like the writing of it. But before we do that, we'll do question 2.
Right, go for it.
Let me think about question 2. Do we go with the hard one for question 2, or in fact, actually, I'm going to go for yes. That was a good question you had for it. So, question 2: what is the name of the Russian version of Moneypenny? So ultimately, the head of the KGB's secretary.
Yes.
What is the name of that person? And even I didn't know this. I didn't notice this at all. Jack noticed this. So
we only said it once.
Yeah. So the lines for this, I had 4. You'll probably have the same lines, probably more. It wasn't even a line. It was just funny, and I believe they wrote this in because they wanted Roger to portray a more joking Bond like in the books, where she's trying to get the gear done and he goes, can you play another tune or any other tune? I was like, that's quite funny. Just popped in for a quick bite when Jaws came through. I'd honestly be terrified. See that bit where he's just calm and then they're like, okay, no, we're alone now. I'm like, mate, I'm adrenaline would be high. Like, that guy was in the cupboard. I'd be checking all the drawers to see who else was in there.
Can't sleep at night.
The bit there where we were talking about before he meets Stromberg, and he goes, oh, you did just want me to drop in. And he's sitting at this. I don't know how he knew that was going to happen. Yeah. And then the most iconic one, which is still used, is just keeping the British end up, sir.
Yeah.
So that's always iconic. What lines did you have?
He has quite a lot of lines when they're trying to escape Jaws and Triple X is driving, he kind of goes at her quite a lot. He makes it's like, oh, women drivers, and then he says, what other tune can you play?
He's very mean.
He's very mean. This guy's ripping the car apart.
I don't know why.
He's not helpful.
Why couldn't Josh just open the door? Open the door. No, I'm going to rip the bit of the car off, and it's like,
the
and then
roof
he picks
off.
up the rock, and he drops the rock, and I'm like, it's like plot armor.
Yeah,
It's like, right, it makes sense now. You've killed the one guy that you needed to kill, and now everything else is, as you said, it's just he's slow for convenience.
Yeah, true.
I think,
but he's very mean to her, like, especially in that scene. I don't know. That's all the lines. You said the lines.
Was that it? Yeah.
Yeah. The last one is the iconic one,
Just
right at the end.
Yeah.
And then it's followed by that awful music.
It's a weird version of.
It's like this it reminds me of like the Family Guy intro.
It's exactly like that, yeah. But then they cut it down to the normal one. I was like, all right, they've clearly put that in.
They've had enough of that.
They've clearly put that in for a dare, and then something else comes through for it.
Forgotten about it.
Yeah, I think this movie had like good lines with it put through. See, something that I did actually notice as well, and it was more. In fact, just we were talking about the James Bond saying, women drivers, like that. See at the start of the movie when it's like, oh, triple X, and then you think, oh, it must be him.
Must be a guy.
And then she leans over and the camera moves in, and it's like the 70s audience is going, a woman?
A woman spy? Not in my country.
Yeah, it's like, why does that need to be doubled down so much? And then the fight with the other henchman is so forgettable.
Well, the small guy.
Yeah,
it's quite funny how there's the small and the really tall.
Yeah,
that is quite a. I would have said that's quite a cold moment for Roger Moore.
Yes,
where he's holding on to the tie and he flicks his hand away and he falls off the building.
And that's mirrored in Quantum of Solace.
I have
the exact
that.
same.
Mirrored in Quantum of Solace, which is good. Another kind of reused thing is right before that where the girl uses the girl as a shield and she gets shot.
Oh yeah, in the apartment. That's like
that is a lot like Sean Connery, where the guy comes up and you can see her in the eye.
All right,
that one.
I thought
is that Goldfinger?
I thought you were going to say Fiona Volpe dies like that as well. He's dancing and he turns.
Yes,
yeah.
So that's the third time really.
A coward, didn't he? Grab the woman.
Yeah, but that is a cold moment. There's not really many cold moments for Roger Moore's era that I can think of, because he has the funny one. The Stromberg kill is a bit that's cold, but over the top. Just shot him like 4 times or something.
Shoot him from this angle, then I'm going to pose over here and I'm going to go.
He shoots him. That does look quite good though. I'll give him that.
Does it?
It's a cool kill.
So we touched on at the start about the music. No. My opinions of the music is the score is great.
Mm-hmm.
Big Marvin. I do like the score. The score works with this movie really well. It is funky, it is memorable, and it will stick in your head. Even though there is a few bits where it's a bit like Jaw's been revealed and it's that that's not necessary. But where I have a bit of an issue is the song is good, but I don't think it's a James Bond song.
Why? Why not?
Because we've been like, I don't know, like blessed with these like previous songs, which are all so grand.
You've been conditioned like John Barry.
Yeah, I mean,
not got him.
Diamonds Are Forever was quite soft and slow,
but it has the big ending still, with the big held note.
Do you know what it is? It sounds too happy.
This song,
yes,
it sounds too much like a song off somebody's record rather than a James Bond song.
Yes,
I get that.
That's what it sounds like to me. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if it works. It's almost like a love song. That's exactly what it is. It's a ballad.
It is a ballad.
But
yeah,
then, is that the point? Is that what I should
it doesn't have the big brass that we're known for, the big held note, the Tom Jones faint moment.
Big tax evader point in this.
No, that's why we've got Marvin Hamlish.
Marvin Hamlish was the one who did the score.
Yes,
so
because tax evader is evading.
Tax evader's hiding. Yeah, I thought the song was good, and a lot of people think this is their favourite. I don't think this is their favourite James Bond song because it's a really good song, and it is a good song. But I don't know. It's
not. Is it in your top 5?
No.
Oh, that's
my James Bond songs. I don't even think it's my top 25. No, that's not true.
That is controversial. It is an all-time good song.
Yes.
A famous song that is always associated with this film. It does stand out, you're right, as in it doesn't feel Bond like it's connected to Bond. It could live on its own.
Yeah. For a movie that's so full of action,
the
song is lacking action. I don't know how you add action to a song, but like, for me, like, I'm trying to think of one of the previous. I mean, Live and Let Die and stuff like that. Like that was like so much energy, and then the man with the golden gun. Maybe they did want to dial it down, but I don't know. It's a good song and it's a good film. I just don't know if they go together, even though they're written together. But maybe that was their plan. Maybe they wanted to bring it down to then go on to an even worse song afterwards.
Oh yeah, well I'm trying to think. Probably this is the last good song up until Duran Duran appear.
It's only about 4 films away. Yes, actually, because the next 2 movie songs are just...
But that's still 8 years, and if we watched that Sound of 007 thing where he comes up and says, your songs have been terrible, can you give me a try?
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah. I think maybe a lot of producers were like, yeah, that's maybe...
John Taylor.
That's maybe it. I don't know how the effectiveness of a song is. Like, are they looking for a song to get people to go to the movie? Are they looking for a song that can sell on its own, so then the movie studio gets a cut of the song as well, since it's written for that?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of the song? Like, the song...
So, songs to promote the film. Just another promotion thing. I know that they never won the Grammy and they never won the Oscar, obviously, for the song. They got beaten by Barbra Streisand. Which just encompasses the 70s.
70s was a hard time for music.
But Marvin Hamlish is an EGOT winner.
Yeah.
He's won everything. So he was big at the time, like major. He only ever does this one score for Bond and never returns.
He didn't need to. He did enough.
He has left his mark, especially on that song, Bond 77. Yeah. But yeah, he's a big influence. He just never... He should have won the awards for it. I think this song is very good. You're being harsh. I'm not being
harsh. I'm just... I said it's a good song. I just said I don't think it fits this movie. Maybe if this movie was made in a different decade, then it would be different.
In the public vote, I would have said this would be the third best, the third most recognisable after Goldfinger and Diamonds Are Forever. Then people would probably say this song.
Well, most people are wrong.
The world is wrong. We should all live underwater.
I think, and recognise songs, yes. But that doesn't necessarily mean good.
True.
That means like recognise. I mean, Live and Let Die would probably be 4th then for that, because people always remember the artist. It's like asking someone who sings Living Daylights, they'll be like, oh, I know the song. It's it's not that well. That's not a household name. Coming to like Carly Simon was a household name at the time.
And is this the first time it's not called by the film's title? It is.
Yes.
I guess you could. Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah. I don't think that. It's just...
But they do say the words "Spy Who Loved Me" in the song.
Yeah. I know, but that doesn't...
So why not just call it that?
No, that does... No. Maybe that was the point. Maybe they wanted to make it not... Maybe the Spy Who Loved Me is just too long. Oh wait, it's the same.
Yeah, it's the film.
Nobody does it better. The Spy Who Loved Me. That's one word extra. We can't have that.
2 letters extra. Right.
So, yeah.
What's the third question?
The third question is, this is the hard one, which we both learned something for this. So, in a scene where they are going through the MI6 lair in Egypt, the KGB leader and M are walking down the corridor, and the KGB leader asks M to continue, and for a brief moment, he calls M by his real name.
Mm-hmm.
What is M's real name? This is a good question.
That's
because
very much
neither of us knew this until we watched the film
very
again.
much a Leonardo DiCaprio. Hey,
Yeah, is it pause and
Pause
rewind
that.
to come through. So we spoke about the film for a good bit. It is now time for the score. So I believe this week it is my turn to score where the movie is, and then you get the chance to move something.
Okay.
Yeah, so the last time we did The Man with the Golden Gun, you put The Man with the Golden Gun down, and then I think I changed it, I moved it up. So I'm going to put The Spy Who Loved Me in a position that
vulnerable position here.
I think you'll disagree with. And whilst I'm doing this, why don't you tell the good folks what to do whilst they're listening?
Whilst you're listening, you can, I don't know, touch yourself.
You can listen to Carly Simon.
You can like, comment, subscribe, and tell us your opinions on this film and on this ranking specifically. You can also help out the podcast because we're poor boys. You can help us out by donations through Buy Me a Coffee, which we've renamed Buy Me a Martini. The links will all be in whatever format you're watching this. And we've also got merchandise if you would like to help, but mostly we would like your interactions. We love when people comment and talk to us, and we can have a rapport and talk back to us. We like to hear what you have to say.
We do also have a new mini-series out as well, which started last week, where we are taking the classic James Bond movies and essentially almost remaking them for modern day. So putting modern cast, not changing the plot, but it still has to be set in that time. So in the last episode we did Dr. No, made in 2023 but set in 1962, who our cast would be, any plot changes, music, and that's the mini-series that will run along parallel with these episodes.
Yeah.
So go back and check that. It's only 15 minutes long.
We'd like to know who you would cast.
Yes, we've had a few messages from people saying who they would have.
And they've been very interesting.
An interesting exercise. But enough stalling. I'm going to give Jack this, and Jack is going to disagree with what I have done.
Okay.
I have removed Diamonds Off Forever. No. But Jack, the rules are Jack can move one item, and it could be the one I've just placed, or another one.
Just once. Right, okay. Oh. That's harsh. No,
harsh?
No, it's hard. It's hard for me to actually say no to that.
This is the last appearance of this board because we've run out of space.
The board is full.
Yes. So just for anyone who's not watching this video, in fact, even if you're watching, you can't see what Jack's doing, so let me just tell you what I've done. So I have ranked The Spy Who Loved Me as second in the list, underneath Goldfinger. I think Goldfinger is by far Sean's most iconic role, and I believe that The Spy Who Loved Me is Roger's most iconic role, even though we've not looked at other films. I'm really putting down the next few episodes. Don't even bother tuning in.
Come back when it's Timothy.
No, I've put it into second, so Jack can move something. If he thinks about touching Diamonds Are Forever and pulling up, I'm taking the board off him. Because as we all know, Diamonds Are Forever is pish, and it should be down the bottom.
Diamonds Are Forever is perfect where it is.
Jack is really struggling here.
I'm struggling because I like it. I don't want to change that, so I'm looking at changing something else.
Why don't you take Diamonds Are Forever and put it down one?
No.
Are you happy with the top ratings then?
The top 3 are perfect, yes.
Okay.
No, okay, I'm going to give it to you. I'm not going to make any changes.
Not going to make any changes. Does that mean I can make a change?
No. No.
Because you know what I'm going to do.
You can't change anything.
So you're not actually going to make a change?
No, if I was going to change anything, I might have changed the bomb.
Just understand, you can't bank this change and come back to it.
I'm going to lose this change.
Yeah, well, you can't just accrue them over time and then go back and move them. Come on, Jack, if yours are turning off.
I'm going to swap. I'm going to bring You Only Live Twice up one because I just think it's this film but like 10 years earlier.
So you just put Thunderball down one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that we've unfairly judged You Only Live Twice purely because of the racism. I think it has all the elements of this film, The Spy Who Loved Me, but set maybe not 10 years earlier. It's basically the same thing.
It's better technology as well. It's not grasping and putting like kind of poor visual effects in there. In the same year that, what was that massive sci-fi movie that you try to get me to watch?
Space Odyssey.
Yeah, that was at the same year. Like, don't tell me you don't have the visual effects to do it, the technology. So, do you want to read out the list of where we are right now?
Okay, so in last place for our ranking so far, we have Doctor No, and then Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Diamonds Are Forever, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, and in the third position we have From Russia with Love, Spy Who Loved Me, and Goldfinger at the very top.
Where it should be.
What do you guys think?
I think it's generally going to get quite hard as time goes on, because I actually really struggled to actually put that on there. And yeah, I think as we get a bigger board, then it might make it a wee bit easier. But for the time being, I think it's okay. I think The Spy Who Loved Me, as much as you said you weren't really a fan of it.
And watching it again, it is very good. It deserves to be second. Even Roger's portrayal, this is his best film. There's no two.
It goes downhill from here.
It does.
So that was a good episode. The only thing left to do is. Okay, well, bye everyone.
Goodbye.
Oh wait, no, we have to wait for the.
It's just the full song. It's like this. It's a bit like The Simpsons.
It's not
Only
the full song,
I
no.
can dance.
It's not the full song. It's just the clip. Anyway, bye.
Bye.